Hi, I'm John Ross, technical trader and analyst at Banyan Hill Publishing. Earlier this week, my trading system identified an opportunity. It's a short-term trading opportunity in the energy market. So before I get into it, let's start by looking at this chart. This is the VanEck Vectors Oil Refiners ETF, and the chart goes back to the latter part of 2015. That's when this ETF was launched. And you can see it was a great time to be launching an oil refiners ETF. I go into that a little bit in Winning Investor Daily this morning, but suffice it to say, it's been quite a ride for this ETF since the middle of 2016. Now, in the short term, I think this ETF is vulnerable, and I think we could see a playable correction here. I'm targeting somewhere between 32 and 30 on this ETF in the next couple weeks, as many as a couple months, for that move to take place. But after that, I think we could see this ETF fall even further. But that's going to require sort of a broad market risk-off sentiment, kind of this idea that investors are really worried about maybe stock valuations or maybe some of the pressures, the external pressures coming from markets around the world, and what that might mean for financial markets, for global financial markets, and how the contagion might impact the United States. So if we see some type of broad move unfold, which we're getting kind of some hints at today, the S&P 500 futures are down 1.5%, and that's a big move intraday for a market that pretty much goes only up. The last 6 trading days, the S&P 500 is down a little more than 3%. Again, that's kind of a big move in that short period of time when we've been in an environment where every little dip is being bought up by investors looking to get in and not miss out on any more of the gains that this market is giving off. So if the sort of pressure on stocks that we're seeing this week continues, and some of the indicators, some of my favorite indicators that I like to watch, suggests we're in for a kind of a protracted period of weakness. And again, it's all relative. This could be a matter of days or just a few weeks. And the depth of the declines in the broad stock market might not be that substantial. However, I do think we need to be careful. I think certain sectors are bearing the brunt of this sell-off far more than others. Some of the favorite sectors like tech are undergoing some serious selling pressure this week. A lot of the natural resources that I follow are getting pressured. This pressure that we're seeing on gasoline and the refining companies, and even in crude oil and other energy names, it's very new. They've been doing very well, but they're even undergoing some pretty severe pressure today. So I think we have to really be careful here. And I think the oil refining space is one way that we can target a short-term downtrend and make money. Now, it might be a little bit difficult to target refiners and to bet that they're going to go down unless you're, unless you like to sell short shares of an ETF or sell short shares of a stock. But I'm assuming that most of you watching aren't interested in doing that. Fortunately, there is another way we can do that, one that's relatively conservative. It brings limited risk, but it offers a lot of potential to make good gains, double or triple digit gains in just a few weeks at a time, and that's by purchasing put options. And put options are just a derivative on an underlying asset, so like a stock or an ETF. And a put option lets you bet that the price of that stock or ETF is going to go down. And if you're right, the leverage that's inherent in a put option contract lets you really make a lot of money in a short amount of time. So you can't find put options. There are no put options on the VanEck Vectors Oil Refiners ETF, but there are options on some of the individual refining companies. Some, names like Marathon Petroleum Corp, names like Phillips 66 or Valero Energy. Track those down. You can buy fairly liquid options on those. And if you have an idea of what you're doing, you can really make some good money in just a couple of weeks if this unfolds and this decline materializes as I expect. But even if you're not playing this, I think now is a good time to tighten up on your energy exposure. This is a historically rough time of the year for the broad energy sector. And if we see, investors worrying about the broad stock market, all the more pressure on this sector. So definitely keep this in mind. Monitor, tighten up maybe some stop losses, some of your exposure. And I'll be back very soon with more updates like this. But until then, take care. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk soon.